a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and well, this is what it's like being a Rotherham fan. Couple of games of positivity, and then a gut kick in the 90th minute in a game you should have won. Happy days. We will cover that 90 minutes, but the games thankfully come thick and fast. We've got another one on Saturday, Coventry at home, on Saturday afternoon, where we'll be hoping to get back on the horse. But who knows with this team? Who knows? Mickey's with us as well. Probably going to get a Mick rant tonight, aren't we?
Oh, there's a possibility, isn't there?
Interesting.
Every chance.
Interesting to see who the rant's at. We'll have to wait and see. Danny's with us. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm doing all right, thank you, lads. I'm sorry I'm the only one not in the Rotherham top tonight, but I thought I'd get the badge in with me, new weekend defender.
I like it. First of all, as we do, we give a shout out to Kimvo, who are our latest partner, I think is the right phrase. They are the kit suppliers. If you're wanting to get ahead of the game and get your Sunday kit sorted for next season, or you've got a 5-a-side team, 6-a-side team, you want to get a fancy kit together, Kimbo Sports can help you out. KimboSports.co.uk is their website. They will help you and sort you out with whatever you should need in the sportswear gear department. And they're helping us out with a few hats and stuff, which we're coming with soon, hopefully.
I think we need to be having a discussion because I did notice it says Adidas on there. So am I going to get a new pair of gazelles out of this sponsorship? Or
I think it's more sportswear rather than traditional as leisure wear.
I'm only asking a question.
I've got my gazelles in mix just to show off, but
you'll be lucky with it. If these hats get here and they fit you, Mick, you'll
they'll not fit me, mate.
Because you've got the biggest head known to man.
That's not going to happen.
So, we've got those people with us. Dave Lawton's with us. Steve Gunnish says evening points thrown away. You should use a good evening. Gav Wood said it's going to go down to the last game. Harvey Kelly, Gav Grundy's with us. Josh Hinchliffe, Kim Hayward, Sean Green. Powered UK says something on the same lines of points and toilets and flushed. Paul Brock, Shelley RC says set pieces again. Powered UK, Phil, another Grundy is with us, and Scott, and Jack McCord's with us as well. And everybody who's in the audio podcast, thank you for being with us. I don't know where to start with football anymore. This is the game we would have lost 2 years ago, Mick. And this is exactly what would have happened 2 years ago. And it's happened again. It's for the first game in 4 that it's happened. So, I don't maybe not get ahead of ourselves and say, oh, it's all happening all over again. But that is a pattern of 2 years ago Tuesday night, wasn't it?
You mean we're not relegated already? I thought we were in League One.
I don't think so.
Oh. I need to have a look because according to social media, we're already relegated as far as I can see. And players who were brilliant for the last 4 games, it was players we've ever signed. So I don't know, mate. I don't know what's going off. I'm completely confused. But yeah, you're right. You're right. It is a throwback to the last couple of times we've been in Championship the other night. Particularly last time, we were a better team this time around. And 2 errors have cost us 2 goals, unfortunately. But I suspect we might disagree on what the errors are.
I mean, there's certainly errors. But yeah, there's let's just say before we get into it, there's plenty of blame to go around. There'll be enough for everybody, I think, in terms of the blame.
Yeah, it was my fault that I was watching it on Sky and not iFollow.
I thought we won if you watched it on Sky.
No, we always win when I record it on Sky.
Ah, right.
Because it was on Red Button, I couldn't record it.
Oh, well.
So it's my fault we lost.
Let's go back to the start of the game, Danny, and the formation change. Now, essentially, it was a 4-4-2, but with a diamond in the middle, basically. You had Coventry sitting deep, and Foster was essentially your point to the diamond, to the front point of the diamond. Thoughts on the change? I mean, it worked for 45 minutes, I suppose, but it almost felt a bit unnecessary, maybe.
we said on the podcast about maybe Chio could do with a bit of a rest from the starting 11, and I don't know, maybe Taylor watches the podcast and he's thought, actually, yeah, they've got a point. But yeah, it felt like a little bit of, yeah, exactly, thinking we've got a point, exactly. We just talk waffle about football for an hour. But yeah, it did seem a little bit unexpected, not just to change the team, but also the formation as well, because 4-3-3 has been doing okay for us. But to really change up so we could have two strikers on the pitch, that was an interesting one. Because normally we've had your centre forward and then your wider men that still contribute to attacks but operate a little bit more in midfield. But to have two proper strikers, like I said, he might have listened to us. Like we said, we'd like to see Hugo and Wash up top, and he's tried it, and they did all right. And if I'm being honest, I think our undoing was really the set pieces. You know, I think there is blaming the build-up, which I'm sure we'll cover later on, but at the same time, we just need to be better from set pieces. You know, you're letting a seasoned Premier League and now Championship striker in Andy Carroll just have a free header in your penalty box. You know, that's a bit of a, shouldn't be doing that, lads.
Yeah, we may as well get on to this. We'll go on to the positive. There are positives to take from the game. Let's not mess around. There are quite a lot of positives to take from the game. None of them are points, which is obviously unfortunate, but that's football for you. Let's start with the first one, which was Andy Carroll's goal. The second one obviously was essentially a deflection. This is where I can see us having a disagreement. This comes from a really silly moment for me from a Dolphin, where he has dove in. Whether there's contact or not is obviously up for debate, but he's gone into a position where he has allowed the attacker to fake the contact or take the contact, and has then gone down and won the foul. You can play against Reading, you're playing against a team that involves Tom Ince, so you know that they are going to go down very easily. That's what they do. So a Dolphin has got to be smarter than that. He's a professional footballer, and this is something that Matt Taylor and the coaches should have been drilling into him. Do not give away stupid fouls, because they will be looking for them. And more importantly, they've got Andy Carroll, who's quite handy in the box. Do not give away stupid set pieces. Do not give them the opportunity to give stupid set pieces. And he did. It gave the referee an opportunity to make a decision. And I thought it was really, really silly.
Yeah, interesting. Because for me, the goal didn't come from that. The goal came from the second worst decision of the night that the referee made. And that is right on the edge of the Reading box when Connor Washington gets dragged back by the neck right in front of the referee. He doesn't give it and then gives a soft free kick up the other end, not within the same passage of play. I said the second worst decision because there was a worst decision in the game, which we'll come on to. But that stemmed from there. How he didn't give that free kick is utterly beyond me. To then give the free kick, which was won by the attacker and not given away by a Dolphin for me. When you look at it initially, and I can see why the referee's giving it, absolutely. When you look at it initially, it looks like a free kick. When you watch it on the replay, there's virtually no contact whatsoever. He's just literally thrown himself on the floor like the majority, a lot of the Reading players did all night. And the referee bought probably 95% of them. So I think it's to blame a Dolphin for that goal is harsh beyond belief for me. There's free kicks given away all over the pitch. If you can't defend a free kick from there, then we're not in the right division. And this hybrid system we've got for defending corners and set pieces from that way of sort of partial zonal marking, partial man marking. You've got Andy Carroll on pitch. Andy Carroll is a one-trick pony, with the greatest of respect to Andy Carroll. Okay, you know he's bang average at just about everything that he does, but his one trick he is absolutely deadly at, and that is running in and banging those headers in. How you can not man mark Andy Carroll has to be an absolute tactical farce. It's ridiculous, and we paid the price. Whether that comes from the manager, whether it comes from the captain, whether it comes from the defence, I don't know where it comes from. But both of those goals were conceded through just not dealing with Andy Carroll. I can't believe it. He's 36 years old. It's not as though he's brand new to the game. He's been around for so long. How are we not dealing with that? Bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. And for me, when you've got somebody like him on pitch, zonal marking from corners, and which is what it appears to be, it's just an utterly ridiculous thing to do, because he is going to punish you. His eyes must light up when he sees things like that. So I think the vitriol that's been aimed towards Hakeem Odoffin on social media is well out of order. Well out of order, given the way that he's played recently as well, how he's grown into his role and gets all the plaudits, and then once he gives away a free kick, which is arguably not even a free kick, and all of a sudden it's his fault we've lost. I find it bizarre. But then it's not his fault, is it? Because we can also blame Wes Harding, who's bang out of form and puts it out for a corner.
We will be doing that in a minute.
Let's not have a word with Lee Peltier, who put one out for a corner at first half when there were nobody around him whatsoever, because he didn't score from that, so that's all right. You know what I mean? Players do this. This happens. You're going to get corners. You're going to concede corners. You're going to concede free kicks in and around the box. You have to defend it. You have to defend it, and we didn't defend it. That's why we lost the game, because of ineffective defensive effective defensive mistakes and simple balls into box.
Yeah, sure. I see why not blame the defender for picking up Carroll for the goal. Yeah, Danny, like I said, there's plenty of blame to go around. What's your take on just concentrate the first goal to start with? Because I think second goal is potentially another issue as well. On the first goal, how do you see it?
I just see it as the defender not picking up his man. You know, you can't really blame the proceedings in what led to the goal further up the pitch. Like, yeah, there was a shout for us to have a penalty not a penalty, a free kick or a foul or whatever further up the pitch. But you know, you can't really dwell on those moments in football. You have to deal with effectively what's in front of you and the men around you. So I personally think it's the defender not tracking his man.
With respect to that, Danny, and I agree with you, we can't dwell on the fact that the referee's not giving us a foul when he should have done, but we can't also dwell on the fact that we've conceded a free kick outside box. You're going to concede an outside box, you know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. And there's a whole heap of things that you can say, lay the blame at X and Y's feet in the build-up. But, you know, if you still give away a foul on the edge of the penalty box, you still have to deal with the result from it, and we didn't deal with the result from it. If we give away the foul on the edge of the box and deal with it, we'll be saying, oh, it's such a mistake, but, you know, nothing led to it. But because it's led to the goal, it's had that domino effect after that. But I still think one of the bigger dominoes is that he's not tracked his man, and effectively is, you know, a very seasoned striker, like I've said before, but you just can't give that sort of attacker a free header. You know what I mean? Like,
he's quite possibly one of the best headers of the ball in the Championship.
Yeah, and you know, we've got one of our own sort of big lump centre forwards in Tom Eaves, so we must be practicing set pieces in training to deal with it. But it's just a mistake in the heat of the moment. It's costing us a goal. That's long and short of it, really. It's a mistake from another mistake from a mistake from an official. See what I mean about domino effect?
Yeah. It could have all been stopped by several different people in several different areas. They've all got to take the part in the blame from a defensive point of view. And Odoffin, much you could say, yeah, we're going to give free kicks away. He's got to take some responsibility, and I'm sure he has. I'm not digging out Odoffin. He's made a mistake, much like Wes made a mistake. Which we'll go into a minute. He's made a mistake. He should have done it, but you're right. There is then somebody else that's made a mistake after him, which has then compounded his mistake. His mistake looks worse because somebody else has then made a mistake.
You cannot allow Andy Carroll to make those runs in the box, and that is a tactical issue.
You double up on him. You double up on Andy Carroll.
You stop him making the runs.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not difficult, but tactically we didn't deal with that. Whether that's come from manager or whether that's come from the players on the pitch not putting into practice what they've been asked to do. You cannot. I mean, it's just schoolboy stuff for me. because he is going to do that to you if you give him the opportunity. So,
Yes. Second goal's similar sort of thing, Danny. Wes Harding came on as a late sub, and unfortunately for him, his only contribution really was to concede a corner, which again was very, very. It looked, again, I'm not Wes Harding, so I'm going to say this. I would look at it. It looked really, really easy to avoid letting that go out for a corner, and it doesn't look great either because he's just come on as sub. He's not fatigued because he's not been on for 90 minutes. There's no fatigue kicked in there, and it just looks a bit lazy. In fact, it doesn't look a bit lazy. It looks a lot lazy. And obviously, we've not dealt with Andy Carroll again, and it's 2-1 90 minutes. It's just little silly things that are so avoidable do us.
Yeah, and I think that what makes it hurt more that we were 1-0 up and lost 2-1 from silly things that we know that we should be working on and can actually avoid quite easily by training with it. But yeah, like I say, Harding's just come on and he's just really not put his stamp on the game at all since coming on. He's come on, like you said, made something look very lazy. But again, because it's led to a goal, it's made it look worse.
Yeah.
If you get me. I mean, yeah, it's just Wes not putting his stamp on the game. He's done what he thought was right. Fair enough. What he thought was right may have come across as very, very lazy to us, and it did, to be fair. But again, it's led to a goal, made it look a lot worse, and it should be something we should be dealing with. And I imagine between Wednesday and Friday's training sessions, it will be hammered home about set pieces and marking your man and not being lazy and working on that. So hopefully we see those mistakes rectified against Coventry, because if we don't, Twitter will be an interesting place, won't it, lads?
Oh, it will. Well, Coventry have got Victor Gyökeres, who is no Andy Carroll in terms of his stature, but he's going to be almost as good. He's such a deadly striker. So if you're going to let another team like that have opportunities, you're not going to win many games. Put it that way. Few comments on here. Sean Green agrees with me. Quite agree on the first one. Stupid foul. Mick, do you want to give us your view on the second one? Second goal, or just copy and paste in terms of the defensive from the first goal?
Copy and paste, isn't it? A mistake from a Rotherham player. Ball comes in. Andy Carroll's not marked. Bang. Thanks very much. Well, I mean, it was literally. The only difference is it deflected off another player before it went in. You know, I couldn't believe what I was watching. But,
no, it's just frustrating because the thing is, for 88 minutes of the game, we've defended really, really well. We've limited them to nothing, absolutely nothing. If we don't make those two mistakes, we're sitting here saying that's a really, really good away defensive performance.
Yeah.
Because they had zero, did they? And we did every other set piece they had. We dealt with Danny. There were no real issues. Victor's had a quiet game other than one shot in the second half. But because you then switch off for 2 minutes, the Championship's a cutthroat league. If you switch off for 2 minutes, you've lost the game there and then. You've got to do better. I can't believe we haven't learned these lessons yet, to be honest with you.
Well, no, but the Championship is effectively a trial by fire with these sorts of things. You know, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you are doomed to repeat them. That goes for football and life, if I'm being honest. But yeah, with us, it's like set pieces again. But we've shown this season that we can hold on to stuff. I mean, look at Stoke, where we went ahead in like the first minute or something, or Sheffield United, where we hung on and put in a really good defensive showing. We know we are capable of doing these things. The only exception, I think, so far is probably Luton, where we look really good, but conceded very late on. Burnley's make your own mind up about Burnley because it still makes me angry. But with Reading, it's sort of like the same sort of thing we did against Luton. You know, we got the goal, put in a good defensive showing, but then switched off. I don't know if it's a psychological thing or it's because Matt Taylor went quite light with them in training to save fitness, or whether it's just a collective switching off that was a very, very unfortunate coincidence in that game. I don't think it is that last option. I think it's more of a going out for the second half without the right mindset. It's me personally. And it's allowed Reading into the game. And because we've allowed them into the game, that's when we made the mistakes, not tracked men, etc., etc. But yeah, it's Rotherham in the Championship. We know this pain. We felt this pain before. but only a couple of times with this manager. So I'm saying to Matt Taylor, learn your lesson quickly, and I think he will, if I'm being honest.
I think that's what I was going to say at the beginning of that, Danny. I thought Matt were coming to me, and I don't know why, but probably because I'm old and a bit daft. But it's all about learning from these mistakes, and I'm sure the manager will do. So it's not about apportioning blame, and like you said, Matt, there might be loads of blame to go about. It's not about that. It's about who's going to learn what and how quickly they're going to learn it. Matt Taylor strikes me as a man who, well, he's done it, hasn't he? He's already learned one lesson by changing the way we play and bringing that intensity back, and that's obviously improved us. So I can only see him learning from the mistakes that were made the other night. He clearly went to win that game, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
At the time we finished, I mean, I accept that we were 2-1 down at 93rd minute, but we've got about 4 strikers on field. We got Washington, Eves, and Georgie Kelly, who, by the way, won every single header he went for.
Yeah,
Georgie Kelly. So there you go.
Yeah, well, subs is another issue. Subs and selection. Well, maybe we'll come on to that in a minute because that frustrated me. Some of those substitutions. But go through the comments. Phil says it's not the defending. It's the midfield areas we struggle. He says apart from Ollie and a Doffin, for all the industry, it's poor in possession. Hardly a clear-cut chance in the last 2 games. Jan Bieber says, I'm thinking that we lost because we were not quite good enough over the 90 minutes to win a game. We have to be better in every area. At present, we are too weak and very hit and miss form-wise. I suppose we are hit and miss form-wise, but that's... Find me 2 teams other than the top 3, because I count Middlesbrough, who isn't hit and miss in the Championship. We are more hit and miss because we're down the bottom of the league, and that's the nature of the beast in a relegation battle. But this is that's the Championship for you.
What's killed us and put us in this position is that run after the World Cup.
Oh yeah,
that's what put us in this position. So we're always going to get games like the other night. That's always going to happen.
Yeah. Let's move on to let's open some positives before we go back to some negatives. I want to talk about Tarek Fosu, Danny, because I think the first 45 minutes were easily his best 45 in a Rotherham shirt. I thought it was, at times, I thought they were toying with their defenders. I thought it was so good. It was allowed a free roll. Now, obviously, when we played 4-3-3, I think we all agree it probably impacted Chio because he got in his way a couple of times. Because he was allowed that free roll, he just roamed everywhere. And first half, he was probably my man of the match. I thought it was on another level to everybody else on pitch, Fosu.
Yeah, Fosu, he's really took it by the horns, his loan here, hasn't he? I think he has put in a shift every time he's been on the pitch. There have been times where he could have made better decisions, where he's held onto the ball a little bit too long and they've lost the opportunity, or, that shot that lost me X amount of money against, who was his debut against?
Watford.
Whoever it was. Yeah, against Watford, that lost me some money. But, yeah, he is unplayable at times, but also at the same time, he holds the ball a little bit too long. He doesn't get the crossing. But then again, he's that sort of player. He's more of an on-the-ball player and creates the space by keeping the ball, if that makes sense. Like, he draws players in and then plays that pass where the space has become available. And I think Fosu is probably one of the better performing loan players that we've brought in so far. Just in front of Helder because he's played a little bit more, I think. But Fosu is doing really well. Really impressed with him so far.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like I said, with the 3 up front, I think Fosu can play that well. But I feel like he needs the freedom to roam a little bit, and we saw it. It was very effective, but in the second half, it wasn't so effective. I wonder if Reading maybe clicked on a little bit and shut him down, or just fatigue kicked in. It's difficult to know, obviously, but it was still very good.
I think for me, at the moment, he flatters to deceive, does Tarek Fosu. He is very, very good on the ball. He likes these little runs and he does toy with the defenders. And this is not just him, but there is very little, if any, end product. That might well be because of what's happening around him. I don't know, but he's a bit like John Hugel in that he runs about and he works hard and he grafts and he gets involved, but there's no real end product. And maybe that's why these players are with us, because if they were in product, then with the ability that they've got, then they probably wouldn't want to be coming to Rotherham. They're worth a lot more money, wouldn't they? But yeah, he's dangerous, but we need something else out of it. We need to be starting to create some chances, because we're not creating very many chances at all.
No, we're not.
So, I do like him, and he's an exciting player, but I want more from him.
He reminds me a bit, Mick, of Campbell Rice.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you watched Campbell Rice back in 2005, 2006. Incredible, except when it came into the important areas. Now, Cross was definitely a better player than that, don't get me wrong. There's definitely better, but
there's a comparison to be had, definitely.
There is, let me see, how many crosses did we deliver on Tuesday? That's a good question. Moving to Hugill, Danny, I've got a few people here basically complaining. Hugill just throws himself about and then throws himself to the floor. I'm going to completely disagree. I'm sorry, Astro, but I thought Hugill was back to what he was against Sheffield United. I thought he was industrious. I thought, amazingly, I thought the referee protected him a little bit, to be honest with you. I thought he got a reasonable amount of protection from the referee. We aren't supplying him, though. We aren't supplying crosses into the box for him to do anything with, but he is doing what he wants to, I think at the minute.
Yeah, I disagree with Hugill throwing himself about as well. Like I say, I thought the ref did give him the benefit of the doubt, I'll say, at times. But there were a few instances where Hugill did get manhandled and the ref didn't give it.
Yeah.
Which we sort of learn to expect with centre forwards, don't we? Especially of Hugill's nature. I mean, we saw it with Smith last season, a bit with Eves this season as well. But yeah, Hugill does like to bully the front line. And I think he put in a very strong showing against Blackpool, and he did against Reading too.
Yeah.
But he just got a bit more help. I think that's why we've noticed it more against Reading, just because he got more help from the referee with it. Help being a very loose term, by the way. But that's the sort of player Hugill is. He does get up in the defenders' faces and, draws them in and maybe hangs on a little bit too long sometimes and gets in their heads. I mean, look at how he got in Amin Mahodzic's, I think that's how you say his name. How he got in his head again. Yeah, not bad. I went to watch the Blades yesterday, so I had to put up with seeing his shirt. Yeah, he got in his head straight away and just carried on winding him up, and that's his game. But I do think you're right. I think he doesn't get the service in the box, which is why I'm of the persuasion that Fosu holds the ball a little bit too long. If Hugo's making that run, you're trying to play it. But the one thing I remember from against Reading was where Washington held the ball too long and Hugo made the run past him. If he plays him through and Hugo gets a good connection on it, it's I think it was 2-0. It would have been 2-0. Yeah. And I legit screamed at the telly. Why did you not check your man? You know what I mean? How have you not seen him or heard him calling for it? I think Washington looked at it and went, I can score here. Kept the ball too long, and then the chance has gone, and Reading defended it. But that's the thing. You need to look for Hugo on your right shoulder. But then again, we've switched it to 2 up front. So was that the disconnect? Again, not blaming Washington for not doing it because he at the moment stuff, but could that 2 up top have played a factor? If it was Washington on his own and he's got no option there anyway, would we be saying this?
Well, yeah. Erash says at least Smith knew where the goal was. Again, we need to give Hugo time. He's not. He's played 3 games and been subbed off he's played the most amount of minutes on Tuesday, 75 minutes. Give him the service and then let's talk. Hugo is, based on the history, Hugo's a better player than Michael Smith. He just is. He's been promoted from the Championship. He's played in the Premier League. He's a better player. We've got to help him get the best out of him, Mick. And I think, I agree. I think 2 up top helped. We're not going to be able to do 2 at the top all the time because sometimes we're going to need to pack the midfield a bit more. But 2 up top, it clearly helped Hugo in terms of in and around him, but we still didn't create the chances.
No, and there seems to me quite a reluctance to put ball in box.
Yeah.
For whatever that reason is, I don't know. Maybe that's us. Maybe that's me looking at the previous regimes, how anxious they were to get the ball in the box. It was get it in the box, get it in the box. That was the sort of be all and end all. Whereas this management team don't seem to be quite so keen on getting it in there all the time. So, but you're right. there is no end product because there's been no service whatsoever. I don't think Hugo's actually had the opportunity to be in possession of the ball anywhere near the goal.
Has he had a shot yet? Has he had a chance of a shot?
I don't think he's been close enough in possession of ball. So that's something that we need to be working on, and he needs the service, and for that we need the midfield to be functioning better than it is. It still felt in that middle to me on Tuesday night a bit of a mess, a bit messy, no real shape to it for me again. So we need to work on that for me, definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the substitutions, Danny. And this comes into the game management argument that has been put forward fairly logically on Twitter, to be fair. One of the few arguments that's been put forward with some substance on Twitter. So we made substitutions.
Substance. Right, carry on.
Substitutions came on 75 minutes. Hardy for Peltier. Yeah, Hardy made a mistake, but that's a like-for-like substitution. You can't argue with that. My argument comes with Hugo coming off, and I don't have a problem with Hugo coming off, but you've got Georgie Kelly and Tom Eaves on bench, but you stick Chio up front. You stick Chio up top, which means you've got Connor Washington and Chio as essentially two strikers. So you've gone from having a big, massive physical presence in your Jordan Hugo to having zero physical presence in your strikers. And it showed those last 15 minutes, it won't stick until Georgie and Eaves come on. There were nothing up front, and I cannot for the life of me work out a substitution. Add into that Chio will be on useless when it came on.
Yeah, maybe wanted to switch up top and go for pace rather than power. Try a different method, but it just didn't work, did it? But I mean, we've more or less seen Hugo for Eaves subs more or less all the time, haven't we? In the lead up to this game. So for that sub, I think it was probably a switch of tactic up top, which didn't work, and then we brought Eaves on after. But yeah, it did seem weird because we have seen Chio operate up there, but not quite to the same level as even Hugo in his short time here has performed probably a lot better. Just because it's their natural position. Chio is definitely more suited to that wide right role by comparison to how he played on Tuesday. So yeah, that were a strange one for me as well. I can see both sides of it. Like, you can see Chio not being that centre forward, should be put wider. But then if we're wanting to change the tactics and go for pace, not power, I can see why that sub made, but it didn't work. Hindsight's beautiful. Isn't it? It's beautiful hindsight. At the time, it might have seemed like the right thing to do, but with hindsight, it was a very bad sub.
Yeah, I mean, you've also got a basis. I personally as well, Mick. Eaves was exceptional when he came on Saturday. He was potentially he only played half an hour against Blackpool. We were in conversation for man of the match. They were that good. I don't get if you're gonna. It don't work for me. I don't get it, and I didn't get it at time either.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit weird. And Georgie Kelly, he's going to cause problems, and Georgie's probably third or fourth on the list, and yet out of all of them, he's probably the one that will cause the most problems to defences, which seems a bit strange. But I can't account for what his thinking was. We don't know, do we? Maybe he saw something that we didn't. Whether he thought that Chio's pace was going to be useful, getting him behind somebody. I don't know. I just don't know. But you brought on a player who's low on confidence. At a time when, but he was going for the game, weren't he? He was clearly going for the win. Leaving 2-on-2 at the back when we're going up for a corner. He wasn't messing about. So he got it wrong. I think Matt Taylor got it wrong on a couple of occasions with the defensive performance at the set pieces, and the substitutions weren't great. But it's a learning curve, isn't it? It's a learning curve.
Yeah, it is.
Let's not get down in dumps about this. We're still 4 points clear of relegation zone. If you'd have offered us this, at the beginning of the season, 4 points clear of relegation zone with, 16 games ago, something like that, whatever it is, we'd have absolutely snatched your hand off. The issue that we've got is that we've performed so well this season in phases that we probably been sort of spoiled a little bit. You know, we've not been in that relegation battle that we anticipated we were going to be in, and we're not in it yet. We might be after Saturday, you know, potentially, or we could be 7 points clear of it on Saturday, or 6 points clear of it, whatever. 7 points, yeah.
10 points, yeah.
You know, so it's a long whole season. There's still a long, long way to go. So we've got enough in this squad. It's just making sure that we cut out these silly mistakes, schoolboy errors. That's the key.
Yeah. Another thing that we were gonna this is definitely a captain hindsight thing, Danny, but it is I think Keena came off injured. Keena pulled out before kickoff, which meant Georgie Kelly had to take his place. My question would be is where the hell is Jamie Lindsay? Because we needed a midfielder on the bench. I know Georgie Kelly came on, but we were 2-1 down. What we actually needed was on about an hour, 75 minutes, was to probably take a Doffin. I think a Doffin started flagging, to be honest. Take a Doffin on and put a midfielder on. Well, where the hell was Jamie Lindsay? Because he'd have been perfect to put on for the last 25 minutes, and he's not he's clearly not even a backup for the bench. And it's Jamie Lindsay, for God's sake. He's good enough.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like when I saw Keda's pulled up and Kelly's coming, it's like, oh yeah, Georgie's in. But then when you think about it, it's like, actually, we've got no midfielders as backups, and we've got one effectively of more or less champ quality in Jamie Lindsay. And it's like you say, where is he? Is he injured? You know, or is he had a big fallout with Matt Taylor? I don't think that's the case, but you know, it's like, where is he? Surely if the midfielder goes down in your lineup, like, no disrespect to Georgie or anything, because I'm sure we all want to see him play more minutes, but if your midfielder goes down, surely you should bring a midfielder into it to at least keep your options the same on the bench. You know, I don't have me away for a license in coaching, so I don't know. But in my head, it makes more sense to have a midfielder replace a midfielder rather than a striker replace a midfielder. And Jamie Lindsay is more than good enough to slot into that. And like you said, it did look like a Doffin started flagging at times, and we needed that midfield strengthening, you know, and Lindsay would have been the perfect option. Even Keena would have been the perfect option had he not pulled up, which again, with hindsight, should have been midfield for midfields because he keeps those options the same.
I think another point with that midfield as well, you've got to think about is that, I mean, there was a positive that came out of it. And that's the kit man don't have to wash Connor Coventry's kit, does he? You know, because he
Connor Coventry.
Yeah, so
I thought you were really good first half.
All right, sorry.
I mean, we were all good first half. It was just second half. It just went downhill.
It was, yeah. I thought Coventry the first half, the first time he's put himself about properly.
Yeah,
but yeah, all right. I remember you saying this about Mark Robbins. And you were always happy because he never got his kit dirty, but he still scored 30 goals in the season. You still weren't happy.
Anyway, hang on a minute. Just on about that first half. You know, we've talked many times on this podcast about the rule changes and everything else within the game. And I spotted a rule on in that first half that I didn't know existed, and I'm glad it's come in now.
Where's he going with this?
Something really silly. Get ready for it.
What is it? I mean, I think it's a really good idea, and I'm glad that they brought it in. You know, where you can trip your own player up and then get a free kick. I love that. I think that's fantastic.
That was good.
Mick, have you not watched the Oxford vlog from last season? Because that's when they brought the rule into it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What they've done now is they've made the referee and the linesman both give it at the same time. So I mean, it's fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
So the rule must have been updated where the linesman can give it as well. Because for Oxford, it was the referee.
In the whole time that I've been watching football, with the exception of that Oxford game, really, but never ever have I seen as so much blatant incompetence as that particular incident. It was remarkable. I couldn't even bring myself to shout at it. It was so ridiculous.
Oh, you can tell Mick's angry when he just sits in silence.
Anyway,
I just watched.
Moving on. Positivity. Let's buy the positives. Lee Peltier scored an actual goal. Lee Peltier. The first time since Boxing Day 2013, which is when he scored at Blackpool. He could have had 2, to be fair. He hit bar 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to make a list of things that have happened since Peltier's 2 goals, but the list just were too big, so I didn't do it. So I am sorry, but a lot of things happened since that, and I don't know what else to say, to be honest with you. I'm very happy for him because he's been good this season. He deserves at least a goal.
Yeah, he does. He played all right. Played well. So yeah, I've no complaints. It's good. It's good for him to get a goal, and hopefully maybe it might open floodgates, and he might do a Richard Wood and get 4 in 4 or whatever. But yeah, he's been well solid back there. And to be fair, the whole back line was solid, and I don't know whether we can blame them specifically for the Andy Carroll debacles or not, whether it was their role or their job, or whether they're part of this ridiculous zonal part of the marking. I don't know, but yeah, I thought they were brilliant. They were all right, no issues. It's just a creativity, Matt. Ultimately, isn't it?
We've got a few people in the comments asking. We haven't replaced Dan Barlas's creativity and stuff yet.
Yeah, quite possibly. And we said this before Dan Barlas went. You don't replace Dan Barlas's creativity, because those types of players of that quality come along once in a blue moon. So you've got to adapt. There's many teams up and down the 92 play without a similar player to Dan Barlas. The vast majority play without a similar player. So
even Middlesbrough do.
Well, exactly. The Middlesbrough are at the moment, and they don't need him.
Yeah.
So we've got to up our game in terms of creating some more chances. That's the issue.
Yeah, we have. Let's go through some comments. Shelley C says Saturday's huge. We need a result to avoid looking behind us. The gap is creeping up on us. I think luckily I don't think it went down. Did it? I don't think, because of results. Or did it go down by 1? At worst, it went down by 1.
I think it went down by 1 or so.
Jamie says, do you think Jamie Lindsay deserves a chance? Don't think Coventry is ready for a start. Yeah, I don't think we're seeing Jamie Lindsay anytime soon, unfortunately. Bieber says Harding is indeed very limited. We have players who are competent, but not many that are good at this level. We need to continue 110% from everybody, including the new boys. And Dave Lawton, I couldn't believe we allowed a player to stand up to Victor for the second goal, basically allowed him to be pinned back to the goal line. Beyond me. Yeah, there's these little things that I suppose, Danny, and just will let me finish up. On one of the great things about the previous management was they were really good at set pieces. They were really, really good at attacking and defensive set pieces. There were no stone left unturned. And if we know that Andy Carroll, they've got a plan for him, and they've got a plan B for Andy Carroll, and they've got they know the keeper's going to be pinned, so they've got a man on this, that, and the other. We haven't seen that forensic detail in defending or attacking set pieces under Matt Taylor, and that's you've got to for a team with the quality like us, you've got to try and get every little inch, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. And against Reading, we gave them more than a yard, didn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, this could be the pivot point, in my opinion, because to concede 2 goals from set pieces and to lose what would have been 3 very good points for us on the road, to then put in that good performance, like Matt Taylor said, the performance deserved points, but he stood there with nothing. But to concede from those set pieces, it, like I say, pivot point to look at it and go, right, we need to work on our set pieces, both effectively fore and aft, if you like, or we try and crack on playing how we want to play, but still have that vulnerability about us. That's the option we now have to weigh up. Do we focus on set pieces a bit more than we have been doing, or just carry on as we are and hope that everything clicks and we play to our best? Because we know it's possible. I mean, it's only happened twice that we've lost from scoring first, which is Burnley and now Reading. It's not bad, but at the same time, on the flip side, we haven't pulled any points back when conceding first.
Yeah.
So it is a very interesting juggling act that Taylor's doing there. But if it were me, probably have a little bit more of a look at set pieces. I saw a comment earlier saying Coventry aren't really a set piece side, so that to me that even says you need to be more careful, because they're the ones that will catch you out. If you don't expect the set pieces to them and you switch off, like we did against Reading, then they'll surprise you. So again, interesting juggling act.
MVB with the positivity says Harding's too slow, Coventry's not aggressive, Chio can't pass, Hugo falls down, Eves plays like Bambi, Bramall is rash, Taylor is handsome. I think we'll go far. A team full of character. Very good. Bramall was very good, mate. Let's finish on a positive. I thought Bramall was excellent. Again, 2 games in a row, left back position.
Yeah,
he's fine for his position. To be fair, he's fighting against Yelder, isn't he?
Yeah, he is absolutely. And Yelder's not coming back yet.
No,
there's no way. There's no way you are going to drop Colin Bramall. I love it because you can almost, well, now we've watched him a few times, you can pinpoint that moment where he thinks, right, I'm off. And then just to watch the defender try and keep up with him, whoever side it is, whichever way we're playing, just to watch him try and keep up with him it's hilarious, because he is just the quickest bloke I think I've ever seen in real life.
With that thing at second half where Victor just laid the ball down to him and he just went. And it was like a cheat code.
Edge of 18-yard box.
It was like on FIFA when you've got like a player with like 90 pace and you just give him the ball and just do one. It's just something else. It's just from a game. Just great. Shelley says we need Bramall's pace on Saturday against Brook Norton Cuffy. Bramall's got started. If Bramall could play another 90 minutes, I'd love Yelder. But can't drop Bramall at the minute.
We know, I mean, if Brook Norton Cuffy plays, happy days, because we know that going forward, he's all right. He's all right. He's not what we expected from all the heart that Arsenal gave us, but defensively, he's nowhere. Colin Bramall will have him on toast.
It would, to be fair, yeah.
Going forward, as for us going forward, and I think defensively, he's probably a good enough match for Norton Cuffy coming as he comes forward. So. For me, that would be one of the first names on the sheet.
Yeah. Josh Reese is 100% right. It was a stupid free kick from Bramall at the end. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, it was. If it goes in, it's wonderful, isn't it? And it's one of those. The way he strikes the ball. It's either going to dip and be a nasty, nasty piece of work for the keeper, or it's going to hit Rose Ed. And unfortunately, it was Rose Ed, weren't it? So
it wasn't a great angle for a cross either. Too central, weren't it?
Yeah. So
you have to remember though, Bramall had that absolutely wonderous free kick against Blackpool a few days prior, and he'd only just scraped the post. So his confidence is going to be high. Well, and it's one of them situations where you punt it and it's in, and you get a point, or you punt it and make you sound like a fool. And unfortunately, it was the latter one. I know I've seen a lot of people kick off about, I shouldn't be trying that. I should be trying more of a set piece or playing somebody in. But again, hindsight, if you think about his confidence level, I'd have gone for it.
Yeah, because it was so central. I can forgive it. I still got annoyed at the time. Whatever on the still went across the room, but I can accept it in hindsight that because it was so central. They're so difficult. How many times we've seen set pieces like that trying to go into the box and you just can't.
Yeah. So. He's going to bag one this season and it's going to be an absolute screamer.
Well, it's good against Coventry their place. So
I mean a free kick. Yeah. Because what he can do with that dead ball is something that very, very few people can do. It kind of moves it 2 or 3 ways. When he strikes it, it's bizarre. We were right behind one that at Luton that almost went in, and it kind of moved left, then moved right, then went up and then came down all at the same time. It was horrific for a keeper. So
Power Med is nobody talking about that weird shot from Chio instead of passing it. Yeah, not bad. But the keeper nearly threw it back at his own net, didn't he? So, but that made me more angry that we hadn't tried testing keeper more. So anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the Reading game because quite a lot to unpack from that one. But let's move forward. Power UK says he's Coventry eligible against Coventry. Josh Linsley, I like this. I don't know if you boys have seen this. Josh Linsley says he went into the fan zone at New York Stadium and New York Talk was on.
Really?
Really?
Apparently so. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for letting us know, Josh. Hello, if you're listening at Van Zone. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, if you want to come back, if you want to come back into town,
footage, we're not allowed to use this.
if any of you in the fans want to come back to town, I'll be in Elliot's if you fancy buying me a pint.
Right, let's move on. Let's move on to Coventry, which is not going to be any easier, to be honest with you. Although their away record is as bad as ours, it's literally almost exactly the same. They've got the same amount of points away from home as we have, and we've only got 13. So that's something in our favour. Our general record against Coventry is pretty bad, though. I think it's one win our last.
Everybody.
A lot. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. I've got the stats somewhere. On one win in our last 5 against Coventry, that was the 4-0 when Coventry decided to gift us 4 goals in League One.
Oh yeah,
that was so funny, that game. I still can't get my head around it because they went on to be champions that season. It just doesn't make any sense because they were that bad after. But anyway,
mind you, us beating Blackburn and Reading 4-0 doesn't make sense by comparison, does it?
That's true. That is true. Stupid thing, yeah. Shelley says, is there any news on Keena? I haven't seen any. I think they're sort of monitoring him. I don't know if you two have got anything. Any more on that?
No, not heard of.
They do seem very, very keen to take players out at the slightest hint of an injury, don't they? Which I'm not. That's not a complaint. I think that's a good thing. So I think if he's just even feeling a little injury, they'll have him out and make sure it doesn't get any worse, hopefully. So maybe he'll be back with a bit of luck.
Yeah, can't be too keen on that one, Nick. Is what is.
Oh, Matt.
I couldn't keep it in. I thought of it and it had to come out.
That'd be as bad as me saying Keena might be the one to unlock a goal for us.
Yeah, like it. I'm happy with that. I accept it.
It's supposed to be with dad jokes, isn't it?
Well, keep up. So we don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. If he's not, same with other Rathbone, to be fair, I think that they're keeping an eye on him. There's no firm yes or no. Which if Rathbone's out, that's a massive, massive loss for us. Although you got Jamie Lindsay, mate. Jamie Lindsay's come straight back in theory, assuming he's still at the club, which I assume he is.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure. No. It's realistically like for like. I think Ollie is a better player on ball, but it's almost like for like, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
I'm expecting more on that, to be honest with you.
No, well, yeah, he is. He's like for like, and I could repeat the same thing I've said. I don't know how many times on this podcast over various stages of the last couple of seasons. Yeah, it's like for like. Let's move on.
Let's move on then.
We've had 53 minutes on a game that we've lost.
Yeah. We've got an hour out of a Blackpool game, so you know what I mean. Come on, we're getting pros.
Right. I'm just saying. I got props from Adam Oakley for actually getting Adam Oxley. My apologies. I got praise from Adam Oxley for us lot getting an hour out of a 0-0 draw against Blackpool. Like that is an achievement, lads. I'm wearing that badge of honour.
Listen, it's the only achievement if people who listen to it aren't asleep by 40 minutes, isn't it?
He was listening to it on the way down to Reading, Mick. That is an achievement.
He's driving, so
yeah.
On a bit of sort of news on Coventry. Anybody that's worried about Callum O'Hare, don't worry about it. He's injured. He obviously came back. I think he came on a sub at their ground and had a few minutes. He's not a worry. Victor Gyökeres is the big one, really, Danny. He's one of the best strikers in the Championship. Could have gone to Everton. I don't blame him not going to Everton, but he could have gone to Everton in the January window. He's an exceptional player. I don't know what else to say at the minute other than he's a massive threat. Yeah,
he is. He's going to have to be one that we nullify more or less from the start. Because we've got Glenn Watkin from the Sky Blue Hub in our comments as well, saying about if Rotherham score, Cov won't win. Well, if he scores, then Rotherham won't win. It's going to be as simple as that, to be fair. Our back 3 or 4, whoever's in there, really needs to pay attention to him. Because, like I say, he's more or less in form of his life. Could have gone to Everton. Didn't because of that relegation maybe on his CV. That's going to be fun next season. But, Yeah, he's definitely one to watch. Very, very, very dangerous player. Probably, like you say, one of their few aerial threats, even though they don't really favour set pieces. So, interesting one.
Yeah, Danny White says Vic as in Gyökeres is different gravy. Yeah, he is, and as mentioned, Warnock and Coventry. Danny White, the Coventry fan says Warnock and Coventry had his best game for Coventry against Millwall, which was the game just gone. He's getting better game by game. Josh Linford says Humphreys pocketed in Dyer and McBurney. Why not Gyökeres this time? That's the thing that you got. Cameron Humphreys was again very, very good in midweek. So he's again in almost in the form of the season. So from that point of view, you've got to have a massive bit of positivity that you can do a similar sort of job.
100%. I'll be honest with you, and I know that the lads from Coventry are big on this lad, and quite rightly so by the sounds of it. I'm big on Cam Humphreys. I've said it before on this podcast, and just for their benefit, really, I think he's probably one of, if not the. Well, he's one of the best central defenders in this division, without any question at all. He's absolute class, and the way he dealt with Dyer and McBurney and others this season, but those two particularly with the pedigree that they've got, they never got a sniff, not a sniff. So if he's on it on Saturday, it's going to be a really interesting battle.
It's probably going to be the key battle, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Whichever one gets the best of that, you can see winning the game. If Gyökeres gets the better, he's going to score a couple of goal or two. If Humphreys gets the better, you may be strangling their sort of supply line. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, Danny White there in the comments saying he gets tight and spins away, which kind of plays right into Cam Humphreys' hands. Yeah. You know, if you're big, physical, and you know, winning more balls in the air, which I'm sure he can do as well, that might not quite play to his strengths, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting battle, that.
Yeah, Josh also says, here we go, making about Humphreys again. He probably wants a statue of him outside the ground built for him already.
Mickey, are you sure you don't want Millie's signed shirt from the FA Cup?
Depends, you know, we might be able to come to some arrangement.
Yeah. He also mentioned Glenn Watkin from Sky Blue, who says Harmer and Palmer. Harmer and Palmer are in great form as well. So it's not a case of stop Gyökeres, you stop Cov. No, no, absolutely not. But yeah, we'll see. Changes, Danny. This is where we don't know if Yelder's fit. Are you with me and Mick? You wouldn't drop Bramall for him? Tough one, that, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it depends on who Taylor wants on his side, because I mean, with Keane potentially being in the team before getting injured, I can sort of see why Bramall was in. But with Keane now probably out, I could see Hjelde coming in weirdly. Again, it's not. I mean, I hate to think how many plates Matt Taylor's spinning at the minute. It must be at least 7 with all the things that he has to think about. And that's another one with loans. I mean, I'd like to see Hjelde come in because he had that partnership on that left side with more or less whoever's playing in front of him. He's done well there. But then would you drop Bramall based on one free kick that were a big skill with? Probably not. So I would, if it were me, again, no UEFA license. I've only just gone through BTEC college with coaching. I would keep Bramall in and keep it as a 4.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would personally. I think, but the argument to that would be, Mick, if the elder is fit, Bramall's an incredible sub to bring on with 20 minutes left, half an hour left. Is Bramall somebody you want to bring on to run at Norton Cuffy's tired legs?
Yeah, possibly. It's going to be interesting. The key to this is sorting out that midfield for me, getting some structure back in there now that Dan Barlaser isn't in there. So I think the defence kind of picks itself, either Hjelde or Bramall, dependent on what he sees from Coventry. If it's Brook Norton Cuffy, I'd be sticking with Bramall because they know each other. It's the midfield. Is Rathbone going to be fit? Hopefully he is. Rathbone or Duffin. Is Coventry cutting it at the moment? Do we really think that after the number of games that he's played that he's having enough of an effect on the team. I would possibly argue not. I don't know. But then do we go two up front? I don't know. It's interesting. I wouldn't like to guess which way he's going to go with it, to be honest. And I don't know what my final 11 is going to be, but it doesn't resemble much like the back five might resemble what plays on Saturday, but the rest of it forward of that, I'm not really sure.
You said that, Danny. Is Hall coming back in? I thought Bailey Wright was decent. I don't think there's anything to shout and scream about, but I thought he was solid enough. But Grant Hall was excellent against Blackpool, the one mistake at the end. So that's a tough conversation to have.
Yeah, again, is that plate number 8 now for Matt Taylor? Yeah, again, like Bailey Wright didn't really uproot any trees, but that's quite hard to do as a defender. If you're just solid and keep them at bay, you say you've done okay. But conceding 2 goals, there is going to be that question mark, I think. But then again, set pieces and stuff. But yeah, I thought Hall against Blackpool was just marginally better, so I personally would bring Hall back in.
Yeah, I would as well. I'd definitely bring Hall back in. Formation, Mick, 4-3-3, 4-4-2 diamond, which is what it was. What do you think?
4-3-3 for me. I feel it allows us to press much better than the diamond did the other night, because the press wasn't really there for very much of the game. So for me, I'd go back to that 4-3-3. I think we're far more effective in
With
that.
Chio back in?
Possibly. I want to see Kyoso back.
Yeah, I don't think he played that far forward, can he?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He can put a ball in box. He's got pace. He can tackle. We'll see. I don't know. I'm really kind of struggling a little bit to work out what his preferred option is, particularly after the other night. Because I'm not. Whilst we should have won the game, whilst we were the better team for probably the bulk of that game, we didn't really create anything. So I'm not convinced that's the way to go moving forward. But that's just me. I might think something completely different at 5:00 on Saturday.
Probably.
Yeah.
Chio is the big one, Danny, because on his day, Chio's best player we've got on his day, and this season he has shown he's the best player we've got. But recently he's been bang average, and like I said, he might as well not come on pitch on Tuesday. So what do you say? Right, you're still rubbish. I'm still not playing you, or do you just say you've got an X factor, try and play through your bad form?
I think with the team against Coventry, where obviously they're going to try and get an early goal, and we should be looking to get an early goal too, I would keep Chio on the bench so he can inject a bit of pace later on. If me personally, if you were playing the 3, I'd go Fozu, Hugel, and Ferguson, because Ferguson's done well on that right hand side when he's played there. Even though we have got Kyoso, like you say, Matt, I wonder if it's a little bit too advanced for him, and he's sort of suited more, not quite a wing back. He's like a weird in between of a wing back and your winger in a 3. He's more of that right midfielder sort of role. That'd suit him bang on. But yeah, if we're playing with proper attacking wide players, I'd say Ferguson on right hand side. Even though he's left footed, he did a job and he did it very well last time he played there.
He should have been dropped, realistically.
Yeah.
Again, with this as hindsight, he shouldn't have been dropped because how well he was playing, and Chio didn't play very well, so he shouldn't have been dropped for Chio, realistically. But that's where we are. Any arguments about Hugel starting?
Well, you could make an argument for Georgie or Tommy to start as well. I don't think it's a given. Okay. Bearing in mind that he's been ill as well. He took a few knocks the other night. And I would argue that Tom Eaves was more effective when he came on than Hugel was, but he was ill in that game at Blackpool. So, and I would also argue that Georgie Kelly is going to get you a goal. So, anyone from 3, but I think he'll plump with Hugel. I think he will. But we'll see. I'll see Georgie up there. But for a reasonable amount of time, maybe last 20 minutes or whatever. But who knows?
Yeah. Danny White, the Coventry fan, says we need to watch Casey Palmer behind the lines. We are in possession based, but have the opportunity to go along directly to Vic if needs be. That's right. Let's finish on this. Jan Bieber says, comments on the return of Warnock.
Damn.
There's two camps on the socials, as there always is on social media. There's, oh my God, what are you talking about Neil Warnock for? He's not that, this, that, and other. We're Rotherham United, we shouldn't be talking about him. And there's other people going, oh my God, Neil Warnock's in charge of somebody else around us. Run away, run away. Mick, they're a relegation rival who's changed the manager. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed Warnock's done it. I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I don't know what they've offered him, and I can't see him doing it for money. To be honest with you, no. I'm very surprised, given that he's got this UK tour going as well for these talks that he's doing. It's been a real surprise. So I'm in the camp that I don't care in terms of Rotherham United, because it's in our hands. It is in our hands. So, we maybe I might care come last two games of the season if we're still in that mix. But at the moment, it's great to see him back in game. But I'm not convinced that if this is going to be a swan song, it's going to be a successful one, if I'm perfectly honest, but we'll see.
I mean, it's great to see him back in management because, it brings back the memories of when he managed us and, and hopefully we get some more Warnock memes out of it as well. But yeah, I agree with you, Mick. I think if this is a swan song, it's essentially going to be a touchy one because Huddersfield are a team that need a lot of work, and they may have looked at it and gone, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Warnock. He's had success with us, and then with was it Cardiff that he went to after us?
Yeah, but then he failed at Middlesbrough.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one for them, but I'm just happy that we already played Huddersfield twice. Because imagine if we had to play Warnock's Huddersfield towards back end of the season. Ooh. Yeah.
The thing with Huddersfield is that they're in the position because of the way that the club's being run. It appears. We said this in the closed season before this season even started that they were going to be in trouble because of the way that they're being run at the moment. So from that perspective, and I take out of what I'm going to say here, take the fans out of it, because the fans don't deserve this, but Huddersfield as a club deserve to go down because of the way that they've operated. So I hope they do go down. I'm sorry, Neil, and I'm sorry, Huddersfield fans, because I don't want that to happen to you. But as a club, I'd like to see them going down. So, and I think they will. Frankly, I think they've done too much to that team and to stay up.
He also delayed taking the job as well, which is bizarre. He could have taken it on Tuesday or Wednesday whenever they played, but he's not. He's not taking the job till Saturday, which is strange. That's very, very strange.
He's probably got some concerts or whatever you want to call them. These.
But is that what you want from your manager? That's my point. It's weird. For me, if I was a fan, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah,
but
it may be another one of these where the club or the management of the club, the chairman or whatever, the board are just trying to do a bit of signalling as though we're doing this best. We've got best man in to do a job, kind of thing. When it's already a lost cause, but I can't see Colin taking on a lost cause. Can you?
No, possibly not. Unless he's bored.
Yeah, it might be bored.
Danny White says Warnock is a dinosaur, won't keep Huddersfield up. They've got Waghorn leading the line, who's dreadful.
Warnock had a job on keeping us up back in day, and he's still somehow
we had great players. We had Matt Derbyshire, we had Freckland, we had Grant Ward who were coming up. We had Richard Wood, Kirk Broadfoot. These are all championship players. Not sure Huddersfield have got the same type of calibre. Don't know. I hope I'm right. Really hope I'm right, because if they go down, there's a good chance we won't, because they're taking one spots, aren't they? Anyway, predictions for Saturday. Mick?
I'm going to be positive. I think we're going to concede first, and I think we're going to win 2-1. I think we're going to blow all these naysayers out of the water.
you also think we're going to do something we've not done in the Championship forever.
Yes.
I can't remember the last time we came up behind to winning the Championship.
There you go.
Mate, can I ask you a very serious question?
Yes, of course.
What have you been drinking tonight?
How many you have?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I've not been drinking at all. Certainly not been drinking what Jan Bieber's been drinking. Bibby been drinking. So I don't know. I don't know where he's gone with that. Dinosaur still top children's toy of all time. Mousetrap second. Come on, mate.
I've never actually played Mousetrap. You know, that's an interesting one. I've never actually played it.
Yeah. Anyway, Mick's drunk and said 2-1. Danny?
well, hopefully we can Mousetrap Coventry into a 1-0 win.
Like it. I got 1-0 as well. I don't think it'll be high score in particular. But we shall see. Harvey Kellogg says 1-1. YouTube user says no idea for a score, but a win is a must. Jan Bieber says draw. Kim Harewood 1-1. 1-0, sorry. Palmer UK that says the same. Sean Green says 2-0. Josh Hinton goes goal scorer. He says Hugel and Chio to get 1 each. He said Jokeres and Cuffy to get 1 each for them as well. So he thinks 2-2. Danny White, Coventry fan, thinks Rotherham will stay at 100%. Phil Oxley, 2-1 to the Millers. No, 1-2, sorry. 1-2 to Coventry, that is. Air Astro 3-1. Glenn Watkin from the Sky Blue Hub says 1-0. He thinks McNally will score. Danny White says 1-1. And Jack Cord says 2-0 to the Millers. Peltier to get 1. And they're going to get 2 in 2.
Oh, that'd be the thing, wouldn't it? Hasn't scored since 2013 and then gets 2 in 2. It's a bit like Ferguson.
Football. That's how football works, isn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of football symmetry, right? You know how Warnock is now the manager of Huddersfield?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the last time he was the manager of Huddersfield, Buffon played for Parma, and now he's back at Parma.
Yeah.
That's a good one, that.
I do like that one. Mick, we don't care about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, last time he managed Huddersfield, I had hair and all. There's no symmetry there, is there?
That's how long ago it was.
When is the last time he managed Huddersfield?
93.
Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. 6 years before I was born. Bloody hell.
One of his first jobs, I think. Or I might be wrong, actually. But anyway. Right, there we go. Thank you for being with us. If you haven't already, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you've subscribed. We're 893 subscribers. Very, very, very close to 900. So please do subscribe if you haven't done already. We will be back on Sunday evening where we will look back at Coventry and ahead to Sunderland on Tuesday. That's going to be another tough
Head to Sunderland? You mean host Sunderland?
We're going to host Sunderland, yeah. Home to Sunderland, yeah. Wouldn't it be? Yeah, it's a night game again, playing Sunderland at night again, which is what we do, obviously. That's a thing nowadays. Please subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts, and give us a 5-star rating if you haven't done already. We've got plenty of those. Thank you for being with us, and keep out for the instant reaction. That'll be out Saturday evening. I'm sure Mick will have a ref rant or some at every print.
Yes, he will. I can guarantee you 100% now, right, that there will be a ref rant on Saturday and there will be a ref rant on Sunday. 100%.
Yeah.
Because who's the referee? I have. Who's the referee, ladies and gentlemen? Drum roll, please.
It's little Keith Stroud.
Yay.
Keith. It was the fourth official on Tuesday, by the way, as well. If you're interested. I don't want to get 2 of our games in a row.
Yeah. Is it a Bournemouth not playing? Is
He's not a Premier League referee. Come on.
Of course, you'll have to wait while they come down to give him the next victory, won't they?
Anyway, getting away from Keith Stroud because the referees have got their own problems at the minute with VAR. Never mind.
He hasn't even run out of pitch yet, and he's still getting it in neck.
Hello, Keith, if you watch him.
Don't watch this kid. I don't watch review. Just don't do it. It's not worth it for you. Anyway, we're back Sunday evening, Monday morning for if you're audio listening. Please do subscribe and all that nonsense I've already gone through. Mick, Danny, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being with us, and I'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Ravel, vicious, brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got around the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The Magic Man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.